There are various places in Britain where you can find great works of art that nobody knows about. One is in the free ports, the other is in the hidden art galleries that have got sleeper works of the great masters waiting to find their way into the art market. And the third place is Whitehall and Westminster. When you walk into Downing Street or the hallowed halls of Whitehall, the walls whisper not just of diplomacy and politics, but of art. Yet these whispers rarely reach the ears of the public, who remain shut out from a treasure trove of over 15,000 works of art in the UK government art collection, an historic hoard as inaccessible as art locked away in free ports or hidden in sleeper cells. The artwork, the art collection was founded in 1899 and intended to enhance government offices and embassies, subtly asserting Britain's cultural clout. And today it serves as a diplomatic weapon of soft power, impressing foreign dignitaries with the vibrancy of British creativity. Yet, for the ordinary taxpayer who funds it, the collection remains tantalisingly out of reach. Sir Chris Bryant recently suggested tweaking the dial, ensuring more art is seen in schools, hospitals, public spaces. But how radical is this shift when the collection has spent decades cloistered behind closed doors? Compare this to the tax-incentivised private collections under conditional exemption tax incentive schemes, where access is nominal and riddled with bureaucratic barriers. The public benefit feels more theoretical than real. Diplomacy has its place, of course. When Bridget Riley's reflection adorns the British Embassy in Cairo, it's a visual metaphor for cultural exchange. Yet, should our finest art merely be an ambassadorial garnish, seen only by those shipping canapes to the elite at embassy soirees? Bryant's point is that British embassies shouldn't feel like museums, for the past is valid. But the UK must balance cutting-edge representation of the present overseas with diplomatic principles of cultural accessibility at home. And while some strides have been made, public engagement is still patchy. It's still an afterthought. Yes, there are loan programmes where works lent to museums and City of Culture events like Bradford in 2025, but these loans are the exception rather than the rule, and that needs to change. A step forward also would be digital access, not a replacement for seeing Paula Reggio or J.M.W. Turner in person, but art behind screens doesn't carry the visceral weight of the of access to the real thing, but it is still nevertheless a way of attaining some form of access. Initiatives like placing art in libraries and schools sound noble, but remain promises more than policies, and security is an issue. In 2018, this art collection began addressing underrepresentation, acquiring works by artists like Rachel Whitered and John Akomfrah, but only 12.5% of the collection comprises works by women, a glaring imbalance, and the greater part of this collection is of works from the 19th century and before. If the collection is to reflect Britain, its acquisitions must better capture its diversity. Art's placement within political spaces has stirred its own controversies. Keir Starmer's removing portraits of Gladstone and Thatcher from Downing Street, or Rachel Reeves replacing Nigel Lawson's likeness with that of Ellen Wilkinson, is political theatre, albeit with a brushstroke. This redecoration reflects changing values, but risks turning art into a partisan weapon. The Fabian Society advocates for a broader, fairer distribution of these works. Their suggestion to place art in hospitals and courts isn't just idealistic, but rooted in evidence. Exposure to art enhances well-being and community cohesion. While the collection spent £555,000 on acquisitions in 2022 to 23, a fraction of its value, it raises a philosophical question. Should taxpayers fund a collection that they can never access? This hoarding mirrors the shadowy exclusivity of free ports, where billionaires stash art as investments rather than cultural capital. And art, like politics, thrives best on public engagement. This collection needs to be democratized. Its treasures need to be opened up, offering the nation more than glimpses of beauty locked behind Westminster's walls. By embracing bold initiatives, from more public loans to permanent displays in local galleries, the collection should shift from being a tool of soft power to a testimony of cultural democracy. We need to ensure that Britain's masterpieces are not merely ornaments of diplomacy, but emblems of accessibility and inclusion.